First of all, the cross is a remembrance of salvation history. The cross is a remembrance of salvation history. That cross speaks of how God all along, because He is just, because He is holy, but He's also loving, God has wanted His people to remember. There should be spiritual markers in your life. There should be ways that you remember, oh, I'm off track. I need to get on track. There needs to be, through prayer and through worship and through sacrificial acts of grace and love, that we're reminded of our shortcomings and sin so that we don't keep living in sin, so we don't keep justifying the dark stone, so that we're able to give the dark stone to God and live into the truth that He has for us. Think about this. I just went through a small litany. We could have kept going, but here's just to name a few people who had to stop and say, wait a minute. God's moved in my life. God's done something here, and we need to remember His salvation history. Noah built an altar and worshiped the Lord in Genesis 8. Abraham built an altar and worshiped the Lord in Genesis 12, 13, and 22. Isaac built an altar and worshiped the Lord in Genesis 26. Jacob built an altar and worshiped the Lord in Genesis 35. Moses built an altar and worshiped the Lord in Exodus 17 and in chapter 24. Joshua built an altar in Joshua 8. Gideon built an altar. Samuel built an altar in 1 Samuel. David built an altar in 2 Samuel. And Peter saw Jesus transfigured with Moses and Elijah in Luke chapter 9 up on top of the mountain, but he had been sleeping prior. And when he woke up from his slumber, he looked up and said, whoa, there's the lawgiver Moses. There's the great prophet Elijah. We've got to build an altar. And Jesus is like, Peter, I'm here. What are you going to build an altar for? I'm transfigured. Can't you see the glory of God in me? But Peter's like me and you and several of you. He's got that foot and mouth disease. He just said, well, I've just got to build an altar. Instead of stepping back and say, whoa, This is a marker here. God's at work. God's doing something powerful, and I just need to sit back and try to soak it in.